It's 2 a.m. I'm staring at the wall again, trying to find a point to anchor my soul back to my fragile mind. Another year has come and gone away, and I don't feel any change, and all my friends have gone their separate ways.
Do we want to like,
Are we introducing the podcast as a general?
or do we just want to start into it?
You're the boss.
I don't know.
Huh.
I can introduce it.
Yeah, give us your best shot.
Here we are, live at Woodwork Audio, and we are fortunate enough to have the dynamic duo, Dead Allies, and you guys just played us a song. Can you give us the title of the song and tell us a little bit about what you just played?
It's 6 a.m. and we wrote it at 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's called 2 a.m. and it's the first song we put out as this project, and it was the song that made everybody go like, "Oh, actually doing this.
Yeah, 100%. It sounds amazing. It's got a real. We've talked about this before. Has a real like Foo Fighters grungy feel to it, but like very upbeat. I can feel your punk influences. We've talked about
Yeah.
Blink 182, and what are your influences basically
Ooh.
for this album altogether? Because I know it's kind of shifted
Are
a
you
little
talking
bit.
about are you talking about the first album or the
yeah,
new one?
the first album. So Weathered Hearts is your first album.
Weathered Hearts is the
And
first
2 a.m.
album.
is the lead single. Is it the opening of the
It was.
album?
Debut
It's
single.
it's not the opening, but it was the first song we put out from
Okay.
it. That album was a collection of songs I wrote over the last 10 years, so there wasn't like any like cohesive idea with it.
Okay.
But like 2 a.m. was like the first like official Dead Allies song, because like some of them were just songs I wrote and then brought James in on after the fact, and then
Okay.
he put his influence into it. But like 2 a.m. was like the first one that I wrote like with this in mind, and like it was a Dead Allies song.
So as the drummer, and Sam's bringing you a collection of songs that he's worked on for several years.
Yeah.
How did you feel kind of bringing into it? Did you feel trepidatious about touching his material or giving him notes, or was Sam like, did you feel totally open to kind of be like, add suggestions and everything?
It helped that he's like, I don't at all play the drums, and he kept reminding me that he doesn't at all play the drums, you know? So he's like, whatever you want to do. It felt like I was like trying to stick to what was already kind of there, but he was like, no, just do whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah, but I like what's there, you know? Like Summertime, if you listen to that one, like there's that big moment, dun, dun, dun. That was just something that he had in there, and I wanted to keep. So yeah, I don't know. For me, like 2 a.m. in particular, that little that part, I was just trying to think of what can I add to it without like fucking up the whole vibe of the song, you know? What can I do that's repetitive enough that it catches on? But
When did this start? When did
Us playing together or
when
Dead
did-
Allies?
Well, let's do it in two phases. When did you guys first come together as friends, and then when did Dead Allies become a thing?
I was 12 years old.
I don't know how old I was. I was 16. I think I was driving at the time, so 16ish.
Yeah.
We met at I mean, you love this story, so
Yeah,
you
it's
tell the story.
Great story. I was 12 years old, and my cousin dragged me up to the church and said, you're going to go play with these, you know, with the youth group. And she took me up to the youth pastor, and he very reluctantly was like, okay, sure, yeah, he can play the drums. And then a few weeks later, I show up to practice, and I'm just sitting there swinging my legs.
His
And
feet didn't touch the ground.
Yeah.
They still don't. Most of the time.
Yeah. And in walks Sam, and he just kind of looks at me and just
Ooh,
keeps walking
side
by.
eye.
Well, I walked in and Jason was like, "Hey, this is James. He's gonna play drums for us today," and I was just like, "All right."
Yeah.
A lot of attitude in there.
He was like, well,
Rockstar attitude early.
This will be over in a day is kind of what he was expecting. Yeah.
I was like, "Is he gonna reach the cymbals?"
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then played one song, and he was like, oh, this guy's all right.
I think that's when I introduced myself.
Yeah, he was like,
I was like, "Oh, hey,
oh.
I'm Sam."
Okay.
Well, because to be fair, well, not to be fair, I'm not going to defend myself. I was what I was, but in the youth group at church, pretty much when a kid comes up and is like, "I want to play," you can't be like, "No."
Yeah.
You just let anybody.
You
So
want
like
to give a little bit of hope.
we, you know, you just let whoever play, and it was just constantly people were coming in like, "I want to play guitar," and it's like, "Okay, cool. Do you play guitar?" No. Okay. So when
I want $1 million, but
right?
you know.
But I was the bass player, so like the relationship between the bass and drums is really strong.
Yeah,
so
that
like when
rhythm
someone came
section.
in and was like, "Hey, this kid's gonna play drums," Jason was actually playing drums for us at the time, and he was a really solid drummer, and it was like great. And then I look over and I'm just like, "Oh, this little kid is gonna great. This is gonna go great."
Totally sideways.
And then it went great, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
You were
not to
impressed.
sound any kind of way, but I literally was just like trying to play the album version of what I heard, and
Yeah.
and they're all reacting like, oh shit, he's actually playing the drums. And I'm like,
Well, because we're so used to people like not being able to do like the boom ka boom ka boom, like
That's
they would
all it took.
struggle with that.
just a basic beat was all it took to win the movie.
So he didn't
Really?
realize you were a prodigy. Is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Exactly.
Well, also like tell people how you learned to play drums.
I
Ooh,
learned.
this is gonna be interesting.
I used to be obsessed with Guitar Hero.
Okay.
I like to add that in there because that's where it really started.
Yeah.
My parents used to have to take away the guitar at night because they could hear me across the house like
I have heard that once or twice before.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. And then Rock Band came out, and I was into the Blue Man Group, and I'm like, hey, you can play the drums? What?
What?
I didn't know that aspect.
That's so okay.
I mentioned that a few
I've
times.
seen him in Japan.
So when are you guys gonna go blue? Continue.
I'm Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Da. We can cut
Straight
that
over.
out. Anyways,
We plow through. Go ahead, sir.
we plow through what
Learning how to play
and
drums.
then I just got it took like quite a while to learn what I was doing, but I learned to play the drums through Rock Band, believe it or not. I was so obsessed with it. I saw an interview from one of the guys that made it. It was like, yeah, actually, if you're playing the drums on Expert, you're playing the song, you just gotta like listen to what you're playing, and it's like the same sticking. And I'm like, what? So my mom bought me this little $60 drum pad. It's like tiny little thing, and I set it up next to the Rock Band game, and I put it on practice mode, and I play like part of this song, and I pause it, and I walk over, and I try to play the same thing, and I'm like, holy shit, I know how to play the drums. And that was that.
And did you come from a musical background, like a musical family or anything?
No, but I think at this point I had already been in band in middle school. Maybe not, but
So
I
there's
know
a little bit of a seed in there.
a little bit of a seed. I played saxophone at first.
Okay, so Sam, you're pulling like triple threat on the band. I mean, you're playing bass, you're playing guitar, vocals, you're producing. Do you have a musical background, a lineage that you're following through? Because I know your dad plays.
I mean, my dad, I play in a cover band with my dad, which is one of the highlights of my musical journey. But
What's the band called?
those guys.
Which?
who guys?
Which
What
guys?
guys?
Those guys.
Oh, it's those guys.
Those guys.
Yeah.
But
Sam
my
hates
dad,
us.
well, actually, that's why my dad named the band that, because he wanted
Okay.
people to be like, I went to this bar and saw those guys last night, and people would be like, who?
Those guys.
Yeah.
That's
Which
actually kind
guys?
of brilliant.
It's such a dad joke.
yeah, it
He
is.
loves it though. He's so happy
I
with
just
it.
want to say I was at their gig last night, and this lady, they let me sing a song with them, and I come off, and the lady's like, "You're good. These guys right here are good," and I was like, "Those guys are good," and she just
She was like, who?
didn't. She's like, "Yeah,
It
that's what
fell
I said."
flat.
It did, but,
Well, what's your family lineage with the music?
I mean, my mom was in high school band and all that stuff. My dad, plays music, as I said, with him. I got my love of music from my dad. I mean, Pink Floyd is one of his favorite bands. That's why I have actually Pink Floyd music on my arm here.
Okay.
Was because of him, and I got into it because of that. I played in middle school and high school band, and then I started playing in the youth band, and it just grew from that and led to running the studio and doing all that now.
So how did Dead Allies become a thing? And so from 12 and however old Sam was, you guys maintained friendship over that time period, and then when did Dead
All
Allies
those
take
years,
off?
yeah.
yeah.
Well, Dead Allies started because I was starting the studio, and I wanted to experiment with ideas on how to record things and different techniques, but I didn't want to do that when someone was paying me to record them.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I have this collection of songs that I've written. I hit James up. I was like, hey, do you want to come in on these songs and just record them? Well, just record them, put them out, nothing else. Just put them out there, whatever. That's that. We had other projects going at the time, and it was just going to be like, hey, let's just mess around and find out. Let's just try different things out, see what works, see what doesn't work. It was so I could get experience of recording actual drums, really try different things out. And then you came along and you did a video for us, and I think it was the video when James saw the first clip of 2 a.m. when you sent us that little snippet of it. James was like, "Oh, so we're doing the band,
Yeah.
we're doing
Yeah.
the band
So why
now."
were you late to our
All
first
I-
meeting?
Nobody mentioned that. All I expected really was just what I would have done in that situation, which
Basically what this podcast is gonna be.
basically what this podcast is. Set up a tripod. I wouldn't have even done that.
Cell
I would have been
phone.
there with shaky hands with one shot the whole time. And I expected that, and I would have been happy if you did that. And instead, you
Well,
delivered
I
like a
go
motherfucker.
above and beyond, my friend.
Yeah. So that was awesome. At that point, I literally said to Sam, "Oh, I guess I have to take this serious now."
Is that why a lot of bands break up? Is because the members not taking it as seriously as the rest of the band?
I want to also say I do remember the other half of why this started or how it started was we just were in a limbo of a few different groups at a time, and some of them were stale, and some of them were doing a little bit but not really going anywhere, and it just seemed like we had different expectations out of everybody,
Gotcha.
so it was kind of
Not
like
everybody
hard
was
to
on the
match
same page with what they
Yeah.
wanted
Is that
for it.
Is that like a recurring theme in bands? Like that's a difficult thing to kind of keep. Is that glue? Like you said, it goes
imagine.
stale. How do you know it's going stale? What are the telltale signs?
I mean,
I think
for
when you
me,
stop wanting to do it,
Yeah, for me, it
when it
kind of
becomes a chore.
It becomes obvious when it's a chore for them and for you,
Yeah,
regardless of whoever it is. You can tell.
tell that it's just going south.
Yeah.
So, what are your biggest influences on the music? Like, who do you guys really pull from and get inspired by?
I mean, I get inspired by a lot of things. So I mean, the new album, there's specific songs on there that I can be like, I was inspired by Being as an Ocean on some of them. I was inspired
Okay.
by Nirvana on some. I mean, Foo Fighters are definitely a big influence.
Definitely.
I have a like a broad spectrum of like influences that I pull from.
Yeah,
And just, I mean, it's really if I'm listening to a song and I get an idea, it'll stem from that. I know that's a really vague answer and like a musician answer, like I'm influenced by everything.
but it is
But,
kind
like,
of vague sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, specifically, I would say one of my bigger influences is like pop punk,
yeah.
that type of genre. I love that genre a lot. Some alternative rock and stuff.
So
would
when
be
you
like where I live
okay,
a lot.
so when you guys started writing the second album, the original album was a lot of material you already had. So I'm assuming, did you get kind of pulled more into the writing of the second album?
Yeah, yeah. Especially because I actually wrote
You
like
wrote some of them.
yeah, lyrics and all and everything. So
Okay.
I mean, one of the songs on the new album, "Broken," was entirely written by him.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
I
Which-
just added stuff to it.
Was that intimidating? Kind of like releasing some control over the band a little bit. Were you
well,
nervous?
Back when I first started, it was like I had all these songs. Like I said, like I had these songs I had written over 10 years, and I was like, do I want
Protective. Of
to? Do
them.
I want to bring someone in on this? And now
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give them credit for it as
Yeah.
well. Like,
I think the other side of it too was like how far do we want to go away from like we still wanted to keep the songs as they were but just
Yeah.
make it better. And,
yeah,
you know,
like if I bring someone in, I'm bringing them in. Like,
Yeah.
if
Right.
I'm
Full
gonna bring you
tilt.
in on this, you're gonna be part of this. And I did actually for a little while before like bringing him in on the first album. It was like, do I want to bring someone else in,
Yeah.
or do I just want to figure out how to program some decent drums? Like, do I want to do that? But once I decided, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna hit him up, see if he wants to do it, and he said, yeah. Like after that, I was like, all right, this is our project. We split it
Yeah.
50-50. So I mean, when he came to me and was like, I want to do a song, or he's like, I wrote a song, and I was like, cool. Like you're just
Throw
as much
it in
as
there. Let's see what happens.
yeah, it was less like can I have permission and it was more of like can you please tell me if this sucks or not? And then if you like it enough, he'll want
Was
it.
it nerve-wracking taking the lead?
A little bit, mostly because you like think of all these heavy lyrics and the song means a lot to you, and then maybe you send it to him, and he's just like,
Oh, that sucked.
yeah, it's all right.
It's interesting.
It's okay.
Oh,
I liked
the
one.
old industry word.
I liked the 5 seconds at the end there where you stop singing.
Oh,
But
I-
no, it's a really
to
good
finish my
song.
point earlier, the other reason why this band
you
started,
finish your point.
I already said it. So
Reason why this band started.
I already said it.
Okay.
People weren't reliable enough.
Yeah, I thought you did finish it. Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
back.
And we're back. This is a recurring theme in these podcasts.
Deja vu.
So, did you find inspiration in each other's writing methods? Do you have different writing methods?
Oh, absolutely. Every time
Yeah.
I'll write a song, I mean, going back to 2 a.m., I wrote 2 a.m. and like had like the basic structure of it down. I presented it to him, and then he came up with drum parts for it. We played it together, and there's certain things he does on the drums that made me play things differently, and it just naturally shifted because
Yeah.
of what he's doing on the drums now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're a two-piece. Where I play guitar, he plays drums. So that's kind of the bone, the meat and potatoes of it, and then everything else is just added on top of it. So really, whatever I'm doing on guitar is what I'm adding bass to. So I mean, it really drives from like the two of us playing together, and like how he plays this changes how I do that.
Yeah. For the live shows, I'm curious because you said you're a bass player naturally, and you're in the drums.
Primarily.
Like typically, the rhythm section has other members to kind of like throw to the front. You get to kind of like
Yeah.
hide from behind the other members. So when it's just you two, the rhythm section taking on the whole show, was that nerve-wracking
Oh,
for
it was
you?
super. I mean, specifically
Yeah.
for me, it was really hard because I was,
First time being frontman.
yeah, like primary frontman. Like I said, I primarily play bass. In my cover band, I sing 2 of the songs we do, but I'm playing bass while doing it. But like with that, the first show we did, going up on stage, just drums and me, I was like,
What do I do?
I felt a little. I'm usually not super intimidated by the stage, but I was more so intimidated by the fact that I was right up there next to him. Like we set up, I'm kind of angled in, and he's facing the crowd. So
yeah, I mean, I wanted him to be like up instead of like
It's
back
50-50
like a drummer.
all the way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
50-50
I mean,
music,
we've even
the
talked like
show.
if we like hire people to like play live with us instead of
Yeah.
using the backing track, we're gonna keep it with us up front and then put them like behind us,
the rhythm
like the
section's
Black
gonna be up
Keys
front.
does.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
thinking the
stealing-
Black Keys, the man, there's another band. It's
White
the bassist,
Stripes,
White Stripes.
but I don't know if they ever brought any other. I don't know
Royal
if they ever
Blood.
had. Oh yeah,
Oh
Royal
yeah.
Blood
they
does
always
love
sit
that.
up side by side.
Yeah, man, it's a really interesting dynamic, and I'm sure like a lot of people. I feel like I've seen it at some of the shows. Just kind of look at you guys, and it's like, okay, what are these guys
always.
gonna do?
Yeah.
But then you always blow
Always.
them away with
It's
the
always
technical
funny.
ability.
The first show we played, we wore the sweater vest outfits.
Yeah,
And the band that closed was up there on stage talking about, they're like, we want to give a shout out to Dead Allies. We saw them walking around the sweater vests. We didn't know what the hell was going to happen. And they came
Yeah.
up here and they just blew us all away.
yeah. That's a high compliment just
Oh, yeah.
to like
Yeah,
totally
absolutely.
take someone's like preconceived notions and spin it.
Well, also
Yeah.
that first show we played, the drummer for the next band came up and what did he say to you?
Oh yeah, he was like, "Way to set the bar high," and I was like, "Sorry,
Right?
we're not trying to upshow you or nothing."
But you
I
did.
want people to like see us play and then be like, I don't want to play after them.
Yeah, so now you guys are, you were openers then. And I've seen you be openers before.
And we're still openers now.
Well, I mean, you're closing shows now.
Yeah,
Some,
but
yeah.
Is that a different energy
It's-
or is it the same? Either
Well,
way.
it's not really. We're not. I don't know. It's weird because we're not like closing shows.
we're closing,
playing,
but we're not headlining. If
yeah,
that-
like it's like out of town bands that are smaller. What they like to do is they like to play before a local band because the local band will like hold some of the people
Yeah.
still there. Because a lot of times when
They're
like
bringing in the audience.
yeah, a lot of the times a local band will play and then once they're done playing, everybody leaves
Gotcha.
because they come for them. They don't
Is
really
that
care
what
about the new
happened when
act.
you guys opened for Foo Fighters?
I don't remember that moment.
I
huh?
don't.
It must have been
I thought that was a dream.
weird. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be a big achievement when, when we start closing shows and people don't leave.
Like people are there for
Yeah.
us.
By the
Yeah.
time
Like, I
we
feel
get
like
up
at this
there to
point-
play and there's still people there, I'll be like, oh shit.
I feel like
Yeah.
at this point, like people aren't really coming for us yet. Like we're winning over fans at shows, I feel, but we're not like there's not a lot of people that are there like to see us. They're not coming for Dead Allies. I mean, there are some. Like some of our friends are.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
And I
For
don't want
sure.
to be too optimistic, but I do think this next album will help with that
Oh, really?
to an extent. I mean, I
wrong
think
with
Let's,
the first
let's go
album?
into it a little bit.
Well,
What's
I
up with
think
the
if-
second album?
I think there's a lot that you could easily not like about the first album because so many people like you either into the alternative sort of indie thing or you're just absolutely not and you hate it. And I think that has a lot more room for people to be like, I don't want to listen to that, like that, or get tired of it. Versus, the second album is more of just straight rock and less.
More like 2 a.m.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first
Vibe.
album feels a bit like theatrical almost in a
A
way.
little
Like,
bit. I mean,
it's
I
more
wrote a
of
lot of
story.
those songs on just acoustic, so like trying to add to it was, it's still kind of based around the acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
This was written around the electric guitar and being able to run around and break my neck and be sore for 4 days after playing these songs.
Yeah. Weathered Hearts has a more somber,
Mellow.
Like it seemed like you were really struggling with, I don't know if a loss. I know there's one song
Loss
about,
about
your,
yeah,
your,
some of them
your
about loss.
grandfather.
I mean,
and-
Weathered Heart itself is about a little bit about loss from my grandmother.
yeah.
It's
So what
referencing
is
that.
the thoughts behind Heavy Words?
Heavy words.
Heavy
It's
Heavy words, yeah, that's it.
depression.
Stuff you wouldn't normally say, or
But it
Calling
has
out-
like a totally different spirit to it. Whereas
It's a more aggressive. Like the
Yeah.
first album is more somber, like you said. This one's definitely a more
PG.
aggressive.
Yeah.
This one's less PG.
This one has a little bit of a middle finger in the air.
There's
Yeah.
definitely a middle finger in some of these, and there's also that there's still some of that somberness, and some of the songs are still about depression, but they're
Okay.
more in your face about it. And then there's just like the song we're gonna close out with, Breakdown, is literally just about everybody in this day and age just
Day-to-day grind.
on the edge of a breakdown.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty
We
heavy.
can all
That came
relate to
came from a buddy of mine, Mike. He'll be watching
Mike?
this. I got the idea while I was talking to him at work, and he was just like, "I'm on the verge of a breakdown."
I just want you
and
to
I
know,
was-
Mike, I think of you every time we play that song.
Yes, I do too.
Mike sounds
But
like
yeah,
a good guy.
I wrote the song like from that conversation I had with him, where he was just like, "I'm on the verge of a breakdown," and I was just like, "Haha, me too."
Oh man, we're laughing in the face of insanity.
He
Yeah.
wanted help, and he was like, "Ha, I should write a song about that."
Mike's calling out for help, and I'm just like, "I'm also drowning."
So I feel like, in a bigger band, there's probably like cliques or sides if there's ever an
Oh, for sure.
argument or something. But with a two-piece, how do you handle tension if there ever is any in the band?
Personally, I think it's actually great because I'm more open to be like, "That's fine, but that pisses me off," and
I
then
mean-
it's just
Yeah.
like,
There's
oh,
no one else to talk to about
I
it
mean,
in the
there's
band.
also the fact that we've been friends for 15 years, and
Yeah.
like we've been through a lot of stuff
how do you
together. We've
guys
done a
do
lot
it?
of, like, there's a lot of times where like, it's just like, James, like, what are you? Why? Stop. And like, there's times there's definitely times that I've pissed him off, but like
Yeah.
we're still here, so it's just kind of like
Yeah.
whenever we get into a fight now, it's just like, fuck you, bro.
yeah,
And then
it's more of a mutual understanding. Yes, fuck you.
it's like brothers. I know everybody says like, "Oh, we're like brothers," but at this point, it's like we're brothers. It's like, dude, like you're pissing me off, but like you're also not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you're still gonna be my brother after this.
That's I think what helps of all of it. We had a chance to open for a band that I'm glad we didn't, and I haven't
yeah.
said that.
Do we want to say the name of that band?
Do we want to?
Don't.
Say
I
I
don't think
Anyways,
it's good.
we
Let's not.
we didn't want to.
They have a bad reputation.
They
Their
definitely do.
lead
They-
singer's
it was
been kicked
to
off
paint-
of Twitter.
To paint a little bit of a picture, they have a following though.
They do
Yes.
have a following,
And, like,
it
it
was a
was-
big
it was
show
a-
from what I hear. But
It was
Right.
a heavy choice for you guys to make. To
I
not
just did
do
not
it.
want my name to be associated with that band.
No,
and
but it's
he wanted to
interesting.
play, and
Yeah.
he could compartmentalize it, and I was just like, I can't, man. Like they
Yeah.
stand for like everything I stand against, and I mean, like we have songs like about like against things that they are openly for, and
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't do it, man. And
Yeah.
he was just like, we could play it, and we could just be like, we don't stand with them, and I was like, yeah, but like we're still gonna be associated with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but
And
I
he
mean,
was real mad at me for a while about
I was
that.
just upset about it. It's not like I wanted to argue or anything.
You
but
just
I was.
you wanted to play.
I was just very
Yeah.
upset that we weren't playing
You
that
saw
show.
the opportunity that was
Yeah,
there.
and I just it wasn't an issue at all for me to be like, that's cool. I respect your decision, but I'm mad about that. And he's like,
Yeah.
What? And I was like,
Well,
it's cool.
'cause
Everything's fine.
We
but
were
I'm mad.
texting. We were having a text conversation, so I couldn't pick up on his tone. And then I
Yeah.
was just like, "Hey man,
pull
like,
the car over.
I was just like, "Hey man, I'm cool. I'm so happy that you're like cool with this decision." He's like, "Oh, I'm not. I'm pissed."
Yeah.
But what I mean, what are we gonna do? And I was just like,
It's
"Oh."
a marriage between
all right.
the two of you.
Right,
It
right.
really is.
It-
But
Like,
then
there's-
like later on, you were just like, "Hey man, that was the better call."
Yeah, I heard it went a little south, and the singer was a little dramatic and everything. It was a bit of a temper tantrum.
And I
but-
mean, this was we're not going to name the band, but this was like a national touring band that like we grew
Yeah.
up listening to. That like
Yeah.
And
is
all I
a
could think
well-known
about
band.
they
was-
have a huge hit from the early 2000s.
that's all I
Yeah.
could think about. Oh,
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
just wants to hear that hit, and it'll
Yeah.
be a good opportunity.
And apparently, he threw a fit while they were playing that song.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So.
From
but
what I
I mean
heard.
that speaks a lot to your integrity because I feel like in a lot of
That
circumstances,
speaks a lot to my integrity.
as a unit, I'm
specifically
trying to
Sam.
give it to both of you guys, but okay,
I mean, like I said, he did come around, and he was just like, "I just wanted to play.
yeah.
That was the better call." And
Yeah.
so I mean,
So it speaks a lot to y'all's
Yes,
integrity, you alls, because I feel like any other band, like especially a band with a smaller following, we're growing, we're pushing to get the attention that we want.
absolutely.
Would have taken that thing in a
Oh,
heartbeat.
yeah. I
but-
mean, it was definitely like I was like, yeah, that'd be a great opportunity, but
Yeah.
like I just
And it's
I
interesting
can't.
that like people don't normally hear those stories of like the sort of moral question and everything, because I feel like there is a lot of that in the music. There is moral questions being asked. There's moral statements being made. Whether you guys want to specifically say what they are, but like you are presenting the questions.
Are you talking about in the new album, like on
all
or
of it?
just
Really?
all of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that is something that is prevalent. I see it. I see the prevalence of different ideas being presented and, not sort of mainstream thoughts. You guys are slipping it in there. It's interesting. And I feel like
mean-
it gives your music a lot of subtext.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, we agreed early on that we're making music for us. Like, we're making
Yeah.
music that we like.
Conversations you guys want to have.
Yeah, and like hopefully people get on board with it. Like we early on were just like, not everybody's gonna like us. Like
Yeah.
Right.
we'll just accept that now.
Yeah.
I know there's some
Very
people that are like,
mature.
there's some people that are just like, everybody has to like it. Everybody has to like it. I mean, I've had people come up to me and be like, hey man, like I don't really vibe with your, I don't really vibe with it, but like it's great. Like you're doing a
Yeah.
great job, but I don't really like it. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, cool.
Yeah, because
Thanks.
if you try and get everyone to like you, it's just going to be super,
Generic.
cornbread, generic, like boring material. So like you have to put yourself into it, and especially
Absolutely.
if it's you guys are driving the band. It's
Yeah,
awesome
I mean,
to
we're
see
the
that.
one. We've also joked that we're like, hey, if this song like for whatever reason blows up, are we gonna be good playing this song every night for the next
Yeah.
20 years?
Sweet
Are we gonna
cherry
hate this
pie.
song?
He wrote that song like it was the last song they
man.
wrote there.
How quickly do you think they hated Sweet Home Alabama? Probably the third or fourth.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it? Radiohead. They hate Creep.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't
They
they
hate
record
playing
that
that
in
song.
one session.
I've I've heard a lot of different stories about that. I think the guitar part at the end where he kind of goes into that like crazy like octave runs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think they didn't even like it when they were recording it because I think that I could be completely wrong on this, but
Yeah.
I feel like I remember hearing something about he was playing that part to try to get the label to be like, oh no, this isn't good. He was like trying to purposely mess it up, and
Well, that
they
brings-
get like they get bands that open up for them to play that so they don't have to.
Oh, that's-
I've heard that as
We're
well.
gonna bring in a
That's
cover band. We're just gonna sit back. That's
Well,
what
they
Kiss
just, like-
does, right?
I don't know.
I
They should. That'd be
I think
genius.
that's what they do. They send a cover band to play as the official band. I mean,
Kiss
why
forever,
not?
dude.
You're still making money. But like that's an interesting point because how quickly did you guys write the second album?
It felt quick.
I
but
wrote the majority of the second, like a lot of the ideas and a lot of the songs started while I was mixing the first album.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
while I was like while I was mixing the first album, I'd take like a break from like listening to it, and I would like come up with a riff. I'd start writing a song. I send clips to him all the time. I'm like, what do you think of this riff? And like every time he's like, yeah, man, cool.
Yeah, but
I don't know why I send them to him because every time he's just like, yeah, man, cool.
Didn't
But
you
it
guys
is cool.
record it in like a week? No, you recorded.
Oh, you're talking about the actual recording?
Yeah, because I remember that was
yeah.
just like you guys were like,
The
"Hey, we're
writing
done."
process took a little while, but the actual recording, I spent a lot of time with pre-production. So like when we
Okay.
got into record it, he had quality tracks to record too, and
Yeah.
Made it
but
super
like
easy.
the drums, James's vocals, the bass and the guitar
And-
were all
and piano?
done. Yeah, and the piano parts, all of that were done in really like 4 days.
Wow.
I did my vocals on on other days, and there's like a few guitar parts I added like after the fact. But at the time, he was about to move to Georgia, so
you only
like
had
we needed to
a
do
window.
Yeah,
That was
we-
like my
yeah.
last week in town.
it. Yeah, like he had just quit his job on Saturday. I took the week off of work, and we like recorded the album and like just that week. At least all the parts he was on, and like the majority of it. Like I said, I was still here, so like there's still some parts I could do
Yeah.
after the fact. But it was like kind of like a crunch, like do it, get down to it.
So I feel like for a new band and one that doesn't necessarily have all the money in the world, physical space apart.
We're
Oh,
loaded.
You're
I mean,
loaded.
we are
Okay.
We're
You heard
loaded.
that, guys? They are loaded.
I
We are
have no car by
loaded.
choice.
We're
Oh.
loaded with debt.
There you go. And that to some
Well,
people
actually,
is
I
a
don't
good
have any
thing,
debt,
you know what
but-
I mean?
I don't have
But-
any debt, but I don't have any money.
Physical space apart, like being we're in Florida and you were gonna be North Georgia. I
That was
feel like
about
that would be
8 hours
difficult to maintain the band. Was there ever any thoughts lingering in your mind that it might be over?
Yeah, a little bit. 'cause,
I never
mean,
doubted it. I mean, I always
Well-
knew, at least my dedication, that I could do my part. Not that I doubted he would, but I just knew.
I was
my-
just worried that it wasn't going to be worth it for him to come back down because at the time, I mean, still now, this is where we're like located in Florida. That's where
Yeah.
we're getting shows here. We're getting booked.
Yeah.
You tried a couple times to get us some shows up in Georgia, but like people weren't biting.
And there's so many bands out there, anyways, that like.
I mean, there's a lot of bands here too, but like we have we have a lot of connections here
Yeah.
because we've been here for
It's
so
home.
long. And so I mean, like I knew we're gonna be kind of focused here. We're trying to expand out and play more, but we're
Yeah.
still like this is kind of the epicenter for us.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be worth it for him to come down for a show on a Friday night. Like I was just worried about that. And
Yeah, it's the
but I mean,
logistics of everything, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, he was always just like, "Hey, can we do a gig on this day?" And I was just like, I mean, it's really your call.
you
Can
do a
you?
gig?
Yeah.
Can you make it? And he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
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 I mean, there was one show. We played a show on October 28th, like right before Halloween.
That was my birthday, by the way.
Oh, he drove down
Which
that
we totally
day.
said happy birthday on that
I
day.
think, yeah,
No, you
absolutely.
didn't.
We'll get it.
I remember I wrote it
We'll
down
get
on
it
my
next-
notebook.
We'll sing it twice next year.
He well, I mean, but James drove down that day and went and performed that night.
And I think I
And
left
like
the
we
next
didn't
morning.
we didn't practice at all. Like I mean, I practiced on my own throughout the week. I don't think you practice.
Yeah, I don't
You tell me all the
Yeah.
time I don't practice.
Yeah, you guys didn't practice a song I requested because I was like, "It's my birthday. Can you play a song for me?" And you guys were like, "Nope."
I mean, I was like, no.
And I
we
was
can't.
depressed.
I was like, yeah, we're not actually gonna be able to practice any. We actually, it was one of those situations where they had us close it out but like we got up there, we set up first, and none of the other bands had showed up yet. So like we
Yeah.
got our sound check done, and I was just like, hey man, can we run through some of these real quick?
Yeah.
And he was just like, I don't care. No one else is here yet.
Wow.
And I was just like,
man.
okay, cool. So then
Do
we
you
just
even
like,
care about the band?
no, not
Yeah.
James. I'm
Oh.
talking about. I talked to the sound guy.
Oh.
Like we did our sound
bad.
check and none of the other bands were
Sorry.
here yet. And
Yeah.
I was just like, "Hey man, are you cool if we just like run through some of our
Yeah.
stuff real quick?" And he was just like, I don't care, whatever. I'm gonna go have a cigarette out back and wait for
That's
the other bands to
inspiring.
show up. And I was like, "All right, cool." So like that was our practice for that show.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
What's the idea behind the matching outfits? So we've done the sweater vest.
The sweater vest
sweater vest.
outfit.
We've done the
Of course,
banana
from
shorts.
Step Brothers. That's,
Step Brothers.
If you didn't notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the banana shorts, the banana suits, and now,
Well, that was a Halloween. That was a Halloween costume.
yeah, that was very specific.
But-
But before that, you guys were doing
We have like a banana
shorts
shirt.
and
Oh yeah,
banana
we had the
shirt.
shorts.
and now we're doing lemons.
I mean, we'll go back to all those other things too. We moved to the banana shirts and the shorts because we played our first show in the sweater vest outfit,
Yeah.
and the air conditioning was out in the place, so it was like 80 degrees.
It was pretty miserable.
And I was like, and it was in June. It was in June in Florida,
Yeah.
and I was like, we need summer outfits. So we got the shorts and the banana shirt because of that. But definitely, if we're playing a show in the dead of winter, I'll go back to that sweater vest all day long.
For sure.
But the idea for me, I think it was my idea originally. I was like, it'll be cool for just matching on stage because it does help once we get off stage.
People know where you are.
Know what we,
Yeah.
know that's you. I mean, I remember walking around after one of our first shows, and a guy was just walking by me, and he was like, "Hey man, good set." But cause he knew, because if we just wore like regular everyday clothes, we would just blend into the crowd and nobody
Yeah.
would know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I was like, I want to stand out. Like I have on my amp, I
you
have
want to
Dead
be the
Allies.
center of attention.
I mean, if I'm up there, I don't want anybody to question and be like, "Who's this playing?" And like,
Right.
they can look up, see my amp, it says Dead Allies. We're walking around, we're in matching outfits. Oh, they're in the band.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted that like recognizability because I know like we don't have where our faces aren't everywhere yet.
Yeah.
So like people don't know like, oh, that's the guy from Dead Allies, but like they can be like, I saw that banana shirt. I mean, we get loud shirts and stuff, and like I saw that lemon shirt on stage. He was in the band.
We even bought another matching outfit that's like a graphic that goes along
It's like
the
a shirt and
the
shorts.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I'm still working on the figure
It
a
says
little bit.
it says like stay high on it, but then it has a Bible verse on it too.
Yeah, and it's got mushrooms and it's like
It all goes
I
together.
think
we
we
didn't know
bought-
what was going on.
we bought them for $10 each at Ross.
We
just for
saw
less.
we were walking through Ross, and I was like, "Look at that!" And he was like, "You want to get it?" And I was like, "I mean,
You were
A
like,
lot
look
of-
at this photo. Oh,
A
sorry.
lot of this stuff we do is very much like starts as a joke. We're like, hey, like the
Yeah.
whole Step Brothers thing started
Yeah.
as a joke. It's like, wouldn't it be funny if we did that?
Yeah, I remember
And
a
James
certain
was like-
music
I
video
was
where
gonna say.
somebody was like, I'll just be a homeless guy and we'll film it. I'm like,
So-
all right, we're doing this.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
give a little backstory since this is a good time to give backstories.
Yeah.
Javan here, if you don't know, has shot all of our music videos. Thank God.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's why they look good, or why we
that's
look good.
why we can never do them on our own now because
Yeah.
he set a
He
standard.
set the bar.
Yeah, I've seen
Too
kind of how
high.
things have fallen.
We're power hungry now.
Yeah. It's hard to get them to do anything now.
God damn.
Jeez, they're like drama queens. They got to go through your agent, your manager,
Yeah.
your
Which you're both
Is
of.
all
the
Javen.
assistants,
Javen is our agent manager,
right?
and
He's
When am I
also-
getting the checks?
we're not getting.
We're working on
checks.
that.
Oh, okay. We're robbing a bank soon, right?
It turns out you can't write checks for less than $1, and we've been trying to figure that out.
And also,
so.
apparently, you have to have money for a check to
Isn't that
work.
weird?
What's that about? Yeah.
You can't just write a
What's
number
the
on
deal
there
with
and the
airplane
bank gives it to
food?
you.
But Javan shot all of our music videos,
Yep.
and I was living in this shitty trailer. And they showed up to my house. I lived right around the corner from where we are now, and I just remember I opened the door expecting to see just Sam, like, "What's up? Let's go do this." And Javen's there with his camera on, pointed right at me, and I was like, "Oh no, this ain't no. Like, I'd rather be perceived as homeless."
And I was like, all right, bet.
I'd rather it look like I just woke up on the bench, and he's like, "Okay, let's go. We're going."
And
to
then
the
we
park."
get in the car, we start driving. He's like, where are we going? And I was like, we're going to a park.
Right?
And he was like,
so-
why? And I was like, you're going to be homeless.
I took my laundry basket. We went down to the park, and I laid down on the friggin' park bench, and
The music video is Weathered Heart,
yep.
if you want to check it out.
That one happened in the moment.
In the
Yeah, that was a
moment.
That's the
decision.
beauty
Like,
of it.
Great job on your part, I would say, because
it doesn't look like it was in the moment.
yeah, like as
Looked like it
we
was
were going
planned.
through it, I'm like, we're laughing about it and everything, and I'm like, this is gonna turn out stupid. Are we wasting our time or like?
It's funny how you still like doubt Javen.
Well, it's not doubt. It's more so, I guess, I just don't see it the way you see things because I
I'm
just
like, look,
pictured.
James, you're over here. You're naked. It's cool. Like, let's just go with
I'm like,
me on
I guess that shot will work. I just don't see it as it couldn't look as good as I'm expecting to in my head, and then you just make it fucking work, and I don't know how you do it.
It's all
So-
in the editing, man. Which is interesting because, like, we've talked about the approach, and so you come in with a very prepackaged, preconceived song. How much do you give into? Let's just see where it goes.
That's my whole thing is like, let's see where it goes. But I mean, I also feel like we're on the same page musically.
Yeah.
That usually when it's like, hey, let's see where this goes, it goes in a similar direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
It usually doesn't vary all that much. But he also, like in the song Weathered Heart, he was like, I had recorded that song over 10 years ago, and there was a version of it out, and they've been taken down now. So if you still have it, you have a rare copy.
Did you have to fight a record label to take him down?
Yeah, that was my old record label, which was me.
He had to fight record labels to keep it up.
Do you guys own your masters?
Yes, because no one wants to.
Good one.
But that's an interesting question. Are you guys interested in a record deal? Are you pursuing that? Is that something that we're thinking about?
I mean, we're not actively pursuing it, but I'm
Right.
not against it.
If it
Yeah.
fell into our laps, great. Of course, my only concern would be we don't want to lose the rights to our music, and we don't want to have a producer. Basically, that's.
I mean, there's a lot of the music industry's a lot different now from what I've learned. Like record labels aren't the same as they were back in the day, so there's like distribution deals and stuff like that. But like it's so easy for people to put their music out there nowadays that like I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that I'm dumb to.
Okay.
But like it's like with recording, like I have the studio, I record bands and stuff like that, but I also have to compete with like everybody that does it themselves. I talk to people and I'm like, hey, I record. They're like, yeah, so does my cousin. And it's like,
But
okay.
are they as good as me?
but like now that I have stuff to put out, I show people like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And
Yeah.
then like, but like really it's trying to get people into the studio, and then they get here and they're like, oh wow, this is legit. Your setup's like way more than
My cousin.
my stepbrothers
My
and
cousin Vinny.
yeah, it's way more than that. And
can't help but expect to walk in and see a laptop with some shitty speakers next to it, you know, and then you're like, oh, you actually have gear and stuff, like
so
taking this serious.
It's kind of I feel like it's a similar thing. Like the record labels like have all the stuff, but then there's like DistroKid where you can. That's how we distribute our music so far.
Yeah.
And like it's like how do they compete with that now? Like they're not the only way to get it out there anymore.
Is it difficult being an indie band and advertising yourself?
Oh, absolutely, because we're both really bad at it.
Yeah,
we're both really bad at social media.
It's mostly like, you know, you got to do all the thinking of what and when and why and the context and is anyone even going to be fucking interested in this? Why am I even posting it?
So where's the split at? Who handles what? Where's the divvy at in the band beyond the music when it comes to managing, when it comes to advertising, when it comes to all that? Who has what?
I think we just do what we know we can. Like, I know some basic video editing skills, so I'm doing stuff like for this podcast. But, you know, when it comes to the music videos, thank God we had you because we
just lean on you for that.
Yeah.
You like ask us questions. You're like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. What looks good?
Let's make a decision.
I'm computer savvy, so like I made a Facebook page and like I try to be on top of it, but sometimes I'm not.
I mean, the guy that a lot of the shows that we've booked so far have come through talking to James, like whoever's booking it, talking to James.
I don't even know how I did that.
I don't either. But like on
somebody's DMs, huh?
People have DM'd like our Facebook page or our Instagram page, and every time I see him, I always like refer to him because back when he was in Georgia, it was like, hey man, like you're the one that's gonna be able to do this or not. Like,
yeah.
So a lot of the bookings, really, whenever someone hits us up, it's like, hey man, can you do? That's also the easy thing about being two of us. It's like, hey, can you do a gig on this day?
Yeah, you like
confirm
with one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right. Yeah, I can or no, I can't, and then.
So when are you guys going on a big tour? When we go on a cross country,
when are you booking one?
Being set into motion.
I would love for that to happen.
Literally as soon as possible, as soon as feasible.
So when we get done recording, we're hitting the road.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Today.
I've got everything packed. Let's go.
Let's do it, man. I'm
down. Just wearing this the entire 6 month tour.
It's gonna get really tight.
I just want y'all to know I'm not wearing underwear right now, so it's really gonna get fun.
How many shows have you guys played so far?
5, 6.
About that.
Are we feeling more comfortable as we're doing them?
Yeah, and that's the best part of playing for so long. Is always I felt comfortable from the beginning, but of course it was more of that's a cool, interesting new aspect to it. Is like I can especially relate to this with cover bands, but like you know you start out your first few gigs with this band and you're like, we'll see how this goes in the heat of the moment. Yeah, like what's really gonna happen. But that was a whole new level of like I didn't even have to think about that because we just instinctively know where he knows what to expect of me. I know what to expect of him musically. So.
I expect James to be late.
Except when we're playing.
Only a little bit.
The only thing I ever worry about with James
Go ahead, tell
him showing up on time to gigs. I mean, once he's there, like if he's awake and he's there, I do not worry about James when he's behind that drum kit and I'm on bass or guitar. I am not worried about what is going to happen there. It's just a matter of getting him into that seat.
Our first show, I'm almost certain our first show was the one that I didn't go to bed the night before because I was
you worked late that night and he showed up and he was like, I haven't slept.
It was just like
I was like, are you gonna be able to do this?
Yeah, is this gonna go okay, man?
It reached the point where I was like, if I go to bed, I'm not waking up on time, so I might as well stay awake. And it was completely fun. It actually helped me stay calm.
When did you black out? At what point?
What are we talking about?
Exactly. So
I have no recollection of it.
What's our 5-year, 10-year plan? Where do you guys want to see the band go?
Playing larger areas, like just
bigger
playing
venues.
more,
Yeah.
getting out of the Northwest Florida area and being able to play elsewhere and be recognized elsewhere.
Yeah.
5 years, an album or two more, just more recognition.
Yeah.
Just more people giving a shit.
Mm-hmm. When do you expect to drop Heavy Words?
We're still trying to. I think we're
still
talking
finalizing
about
some things on it, but
how far along are you guys? 50%.
There's one
70%?
song mixed.
Oh wow.
That's it so far.
Everything's like recorded. There's a few things we're gonna add.
There's things we're adding and changing because now that we recorded it back in August and we've sat on it since then because I was working on your movie.
Yeah.
So we've been sitting on it, and now that we've finished Savage, I'll go ahead and plug Savage.
Savage.
Check out
Uh,
Savage.
Is the movie he
Can't check it out
directed?
yet.
You ready?
um,
3, 2, 1.
one.
Stay
Stay
savage.
Savage.
You didn't even.
How did we do that and you didn't?
Because I didn't know what was happening.
You should have known.
I'm not
that's
the
what
king
talking
of
about.
this house.
Our link. That link between us.
See?
Yeah.
Like I knew exactly what he was
Are you
going
guys
for.
twins? I can see it.
Sandwiches. Oh, I thought.
Hey man, can you stop trying to play footsie?
I
with me
got
right
him.
now?
Saw you. Just looks so cute over there.
Goodness.
What was the question?
What's the future? We never got into what your musical influences are.
Man, my musical influence is really
Rock band.
Rock band. Any song that was on Rock Band. That's about
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
And
That's your
Rock
jam.
Band 2 and Rock Band 2 DLCs and
What
no.
are you doing with your foot right now?
I also
just trying
I want
to
to
get
say
comfortable doing the
I want to
right-
go back to the Rock Band thing once. Back
Yeah.
in our middle school and high school days, I remember going over to your house one day to pick you up to go do something, and I show up, I knock on the door, and he answers the door with a Rock Band guitar, and he's just like,
What's up, dude?
Yeah.
he's like, hey man, come on, and I was like, what are you doing? And like I follow him like into his room, and like on the freaking TV is like Dragon Force, you know, through flame or whatever.
I remember specifically.
Oh, you know the song.
It was learned Monkey Wrench. Sorry, by
It was
Foo
just
Fighters.
it was a song on expert mode that just had a lot of, he was just like
Dude, I will second
And he
that
was-
story in a minute.
he was like perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like, you left the room.
I
Yeah.
was addicted.
We when we were on Savage, me and this young man, we where did you sleep? Or I don't remember. I had the upstairs and
sleep?
you were in the loft right next to me. The loft
He slept
area.
on the floor under the
was up
computer.
there,
Yeah, where
right
were you
next to your
sleeping
door.
at?
I was sleeping downstairs somewhere.
Oh,
On
I
the
thought you
first
just like
floor?
slept under the
Yeah.
computer
And I
desk.
remember it was like, what time was it? Like midnight or
It's
something
at least
like that.
like 1 or 2.
And I come out of the shower and I hear, and I was like, what is that?
What is that noise?
And I think it was just me and you there. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I walked over and saw
That's
him
even
at
more
his
terrifying.
computer, just like, he's like, what's up, man? Just like in the zone.
Yeah.
But that's the way you kind of are. It's like you guys, when you guys play, you're both like just. Because I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
on stage with you, filming you, and you don't ever pay attention to me. You hit me with guitars.
Well, you
throw
also- I
was
things
gonna
at me.
say-
I want to say, when we filmed all of our music videos, anytime we looked at the camera, you're like, don't look at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time I look at you, my heart drops. I'm like,
He's gonna be
I'm
us.
just behind it, like, yeah.
But like when we're on stage, you're like, look into the camera, like act to it. But like we're so afraid of the camera now
I think
Right.
because you're
every,
always like, don't look at it.
I've been too harsh.
every time we do look at it on stage, it's always like a.
Look away.
Are we allowed to look at this?
So what's coming up? What shows can we see you guys at? What's the plan? What do we have to look forward to?
So I don't know exactly when this is going to air.
Okay.
But
So I don't want to like say we have one coming up and it was like a month ago.
Well, where
I don't
should
think
we,
it'll be
where
that
should
long.
Where should we go to see what you guys got coming up?
I'd be willing to bet
It
money.
should be out before the April.
Regardless of when this comes out, you can catch us at Downtown Music Hall
At some
more
point,
than likely.
we play
Okay.
there. That's where we've played. That's
Pretty
the only
much.
venue we've played so far. We've played some house shows
Shout out to them.
and
Yeah.
Downtown Music Hall. Thank you so much for letting us continue to play there.
They're incredible.
Downtown
Literally,
Music Hall, we love you.
not only just because of us, but literally they give anybody a fucking chance over there, and it's
Absolutely.
awesome. So
So you guys are about to outro us with a song.
you
Yes.
doggone right.
We've talked about a little bit breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tease before we get into it?
It's a song.
It is
It's
a
off the
song.
new one.
Okay. I guess without further ado, here is Breakdown.
All my friends and I are living on the edge of breakdown. Same old shit, just another day. We all wanna quit, but we need the pay. I don't know how long we can go like this. We go again, it's a Groundhog Day. Just doing our had it before, but I need it now. I feel like my sanity's beginning to break. All my friends and I are living on the edge of breakdown, doing what we can